All right. All right, there we are. Hello, Major. Yeah, so I got disconnected from the co-working thing, and I thought, you know what? Why don't I just go and stream instead? Because that's what I was supposed to be doing today. Okay, let's see. We are good there. Okay, so there are quite a lot of changes that's gone in. Hello, Skylar. Quite a lot of changes that's gone into this now. But we still don't have like a demo app or any kind of instructions on how to build things. There are a whoopsie. There's a whoopsie in there. Let's have a look. Hello, Kanie. Let's pop this open and let's see. So we have some recipes in here, and I was working on one for async. So I mean, maybe a whole async chat would be a little bit extreme to build. So building a demo application, we should probably focus on something basic. But if I have to build a to-do app, I might have to rip my head off and flush it down the toilet instead to save my sanity. So I don't think we've been doing that, but there's got to be something to build in the terminal that kind of makes sense. One thing that would also be quite nice would be to implement this one-shot backend. We can start by looking at PRs, right? We can root it indeed. Whoops, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Instead, we can look at the... Okay, we'll start off with the pull request. So this one is still knackered. So waiting for Doddy to fix that. Do we have another pull request in here? We have one by me. Right, this one. This is adding new behavior to this. Let's pull this in now. All right then. Yes, the run ones would be quite nice to have. What do we have so far? No changes. So we have added this thing, these two things, so we can probably commit those. Okay, so should we... Should we do that one? But then again, what about the demo app? What should we do there? if anyone has any recommendation for a demo app that is going to be more about state and template and events than doing anything and doing like anything specific. So we don't want anything that is complex in terms of machinery, right? But rather simplistic, so the focus isn't on that. Or maybe we even do something more simple, like just like a template only thing. That could work. Should we look at what would be involved in doing the template one thing then? How do I ban a mod? Okay, first we take away the privileges. Okay, anyway. What we can do is... What is this thing griping about? Okay, yeah, that one makes sense. So maybe that becomes part of the overarching thing to do, right? Like the overarching, by the way, changes. And in this case, if it is a run once, then we should break out of this loop. So what we could do, we could make this, instead of calling this run, we could just make this into a one shot. But let's see what that would look like if we kind of just hack it in. Don't think we're gonna need that for anything, are we? No. So we can get rid of that one. Definitely don't want a loop here. Then this will return. No, there's no rebuild happening here. I think that's the one shot. So let's try to write a one-shot application for this. So instead of having builder.finish, we have builder. Actually, this should be builder.oneshot. Like that. But we can try it out first here. Didn't I just make this on the runtime? Well, that would be impossible because it's not trained on that. But I do have to get back to them. They were such that I like to talk to people who are like lovely, nice people, right? Like they were like very nice to talk to as well. They've been nice. The Digma people have been nice. So I kind of like getting back to them with things. And I have like a question, or they had a question for me, or some questions for me that we're gonna answer, right? So let's do a VStack here, and we're just gonna say hello a few times, right? So what's wrong with this thing other than a lot? So, So the point in making a demo app, Sneaky Bugs, is to focus on the demo part of Anathema, not the complex machinery of something like Git, right? So if you do that, then you are making a Git client where a small portion of that is the UI, instead of making a UI with some basic functionality in it, right? So therefore, the demo app should be very basic. Now, if we wanted this to behave the way I want it to behave, which would be more like a Yeah, that's gonna be a different backend. That's why. Okay, now we're good. We're not gonna have the one shot. The reason we're not gonna have this is because we need a different backend for that. We need a well. This could still be the one shot, but we're not gonna implement that yet. So instead, we're gonna delete that, and then we're gonna add that as a feature here. Maybe we should have a discussion around this. Hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I already am sneaky bugs. You're looking at it right now. And then I have a bunch of things that I don't show on stream, not because they're anything like special or particular. It's just there's nothing to show there for other project, right? Okay, so let's do a feature request. Let's call this a one-shot runtime. One-shot runtime. And we're gonna scrap all that, and we're gonna say a one-shot runtime would also require a new backend, as it should be possible to build something that prints from where the cursor is, not and scrolls down. The current TUI backend works from a grid of cells, assuming 0, to be top. Well, that's going to be the case anyway. So let's do continue discussion around this on Discord. So we do this, and we're going to label this as an enhancement. It is definitely not a good first issue. Hello, Nine Motion, how you going? Right, so what would be a good... we're definitely dog fooding though, right? We're dog fooding. What would be a good... what would be a good demo app for this? There's so many fun things to do, right? Dog fooding. So yeah, that's an expression, isn't it? Right. You're using. Let's see what the etymology of dog fooding is, right? Where does it come from, right? Eating your own dog food or dog fooding is the practice of using one's own product or service. This can be a way for an organization to test its product in real world usage using product management techniques. Hence, dog fooding can act as a quality control. Okay, but I wanted to know. Okay, here we go. In 2006, Warren Harrison, the editor-in-chief of IEEE Software, recounted that in the 70s television advertisement for Alpo dog food, spokesperson and actor Lon Green pointed out that he fed Alpo to his own dogs. Another possible origin he remembered was the president of Calcam Pet Food was said to eat a cannabis dog food at annual shareholders meeting. All right, that seems like an insane thing and completely made up. But yeah, so that's, I guess that's where it's coming from, right? Dog fooding. You're using your own product, right? And that's how it should be, right? Make a web server in Aml. I want to hire you, Skylab, just so I can fire you on the spot in front of a live audience. But no, do you want to implement sockets for a markup language then? Okay, but what would be a good example if we're gonna take away almost everything that isn't from the standard library and Anathema, right? So no async, because I haven't written up the recipe for the async stuff yet, right? So if you go here, there are recipes on how to do certain things. There are routing here. All right, this should not be here. Right, so we need to make another issue for that. I've been working on so many things this morning. I've been jumping around, and clearly I haven't been on top of things, right? Why Write up the index page for recipes. Currently, it's just nonsense. There we go. So we have one for routing, and I want to have one for async and one for like theming with global variables. And that one would probably be quite easy to do as well. But the async one is going to be more complex, right? I mean, I recognized you from chat yesterday, 9motion. I did not recognize you throughout my day as I've been moving around in my house, and I'm reasonably comfortable with that. Do you think my chat is so active that I forgot someone who spoke to me yesterday? That would be pretty... I mean, I am getting old, but that kind of takes the cake a little, right? Yes, I was being facetious. Okay, so what would be a good demo app for this thing? Maybe everything I think of, like a weather app or something. Maybe we could do like a silly dashboard. Maybe we could do a silly dashboard for this. But we could... Is there an open API for weather? Curl weather. Hello, what are you doing? Yeah, there's weather in. Is this something we can use maybe? Okay, but this one already does that. I wanted to have an API for this instead, right? Oh, we can get it in JSON though, right? What do you think on that? Should this be... Hello, Ivan. How you doing today? You can use open weather API. Let's look at that. An interactive neofetch. Yeah, why don't we build like a dashboard thing, right? Which one is it that I should use? Not really. Wait, that was like 2 seconds ago. You know, you weren't away for that long. Open weather, public APIs, maybe. Try. Okay, I thought you knew like of a specific one. I'm guessing these things. Yeah, it's pricing. So I'm guessing this one is not free. Okay. It's free and then it's like pricing. No, I think to do apps are just so incredibly boring and frustrating that I don't even want to make one because I feel like that's what everything does. Have I looked at open weather map? That was this one, right? No. Yeah, but there's no way they're gonna allow you to do 1,000 API calls without you signing up, and I don't want to put my key in there. There's like a test JSON, right? JSON test where it's not this one. Wow, a lot of useless stuff has happened. Okay, let's take a quick peek at this. Oh, really? You can do that? Okay, you know what? Maybe we borrow this thing then. I don't know if this is okay to do. Can we use that? Is there like is there a well, what should we put there? Oh man, there are so many of those. So is this okay to use? That is my question, right? Can we use this one? I haven't brought down a bottle of water yet. We're gonna go fetch one at some point. But I do think maybe this will be okay. Or this will just give us the locations. We could do... yeah, so this one is the location. So we'll have a... Okay, let's do this thing. Let's make an actual demo here. A time zone converter. You know what? Having a timestamp or a date time to Discord would have been useful. But let's see what this would look like. So that's going to be the location. Oh yeah. All right, you need double quotes for strings these days. Modern facilities and all that. Weather and how am I spelling weather? Okay, we get in there. Okay, so let's see what the other one is. So that's gonna be the... That's gonna be a vec, by the way. No, that's gonna be a string. That's gonna be the URL. So then we're gonna have the weather, which needs an ID, which will probably pass in as a string slice, and we get a string back out again. Like so. So then we can get location URL and weather URL. Then we have a public function to get locations, which will return a vec of location IDs. So let's make a struct called location ID. Oh, don't over engineer this now. Oh, Okay, maybe we just do this for the weather. Again, I'm a little bit unsure how cool they're gonna be with us doing this. Am I not in streamer mode? Yes, I am. Welcome to the Discord mod. A big old copy and paste, then is it? Okay, so the location is going to be based on the name. Yeah, that can definitely return a result, right? Like this. But we don't want to read to string. We want to read to JSON. So there's probably some kind of JSON thing here, then, don't you think? There it is. So we need to add Serde. Yep. Send JSON, body mute, read JSON. Send JSON, body mute, read. And okay. Read JSON. If we need to know what type this is, so we can look at the location data for this. So it looks like this. Can I not copy things? Can you see raw data, please? Wow, thank you. Result. There we go. So that's the data. There we go. Okay. So let's have a struct location. Deserialize. We don't need serialize. We just need deserialize. We have an ID as a string. We have a name as a string. And then we do have time zones and countries and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think we care about them. Okay, so let's have a function called weather that takes a location in. And it's going to return something. We don't know what yet. You're going to look about the same. Then for this thing, we can just pass in our location. And that's going to be the ID of our said location. So there's no send JSON then. Header, send, body mute. Do we need a feature for that? Yeah, we do. That's version. Oh man, I don't know what's going on with my head today. It is very dizzy-ish. Okay, let's copy this nonsense. Okay, so it is fine. Just need to change this up a little. Why is this thing griping at me? Well, that's not obviously a string, right? There's no send JSON there. All right, let's get. So we want to post. No, we don't. Why would I think that? We're not sending any JSON. Come on, man. Oh, mierda. Is it a migraine maybe? It could be. No, that's not the location URL. That's the... No, we already have the location. It's the weather URL that we want here. Okay, so we don't want a get with a send body. That makes sense, right? Get call. That's what we want. All right. Okay, I think I see it then. Get. We don't need that. That's a call. Wow, what a thing. There we go. I'm so not on the ball right now. I think I'm having a bit of a migraine or something rubbish like that. All right, so whatever we get here is not going to be locations. So we need to look at the weather data that we can get then. Did I have that somewhere here? Why would it include that? Wow, okay, so we're gonna have a bunch of forecasts here. No, not some data here. Meow. Okay. We don't care that much about this. We care a little bit about this though. So let's have a look at the raw data for this. And let's grab that. And we're gonna let Vim sort this out. Thank you, Vim. Who doesn't? Who doesn't have a rabbit? Maybe the summary is more interesting to look at than anything, than the detail. Chance of perspiration. Okay. Light rain and a moderate breeze. I'll take it. Okay. Let's type this up then, right? So we'll have a struct called forecast. Ain't no way I'm gonna do this. We can just get a singular forecast. Could you collapse this, please? So we're gonna go to forecasts 0 summary like that. Well, no. And then report. What should we get? We can get like the sunrise and the sunset. Why don't we? They are nice numbers to have. Max and min. Don't care about that. Actually, we can care about that for a reason. It's a winter where you are. Man, there's a lot of stuff here that I don't want to read. Okay, let's just do this then. See if this will be sufficient. So we're going to have this be a report, and we're going to have sunrise, which is a string now. We have a sunset, which is a string now. We have a max C, which is a U size, because that's how warm it can get, right? I realized that I don't really care for it. I think neither should you. Is this the Surdy rename thing? Surdy rename field. Surdy rename, yeah. No, it isn't. And so that's going to be max, no, min temp f. That will be, no, but that's, then we could just say alias then. No, deserialize. So rename deserialize. That's it, right? Okay, I think we're good now. How do we not? That sounds good, Nine Motion. Just remember that I'm a very old married man, so I might not respond to it in the way that you hope, but let's hear it. Report. Do we have to use? Yes, we do. 30 JSON. Value here. That wasn't much of a pickup line. That was just a nice comment, though. So I appreciate that. So that's going to be our forecast. And then there's a way with JSON where you can deserialize something from a JSON value, which means we're going to find the value. And then there's supposed to be a way we can do this. It doesn't say that here, but I know we can. There you go, from value. This is what we're looking for. Why? Okay, maybe that'll do. There we are. Wow, what a journey. Okay, do we think this works now? Do we think this works? So by just calling, we'll start by getting rid of all this, and then we say locations, unwrap. I am genuinely dizzy. This is super uncomfortable. Wait, where the location is private? Oh, the location itself is private. Ooh, boo, boo. Okay, so let's just print out all these locations. What? Invalid type map, expected sequence. Okay, so what is it that we're getting if we bung in Londres? We get a response, results. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have to do the same thing here. Okay. And what are we getting? Results. Take, and then we're gonna call from value. This is so very, very uncomfortable. I was hanging out in the co-working chat most of the day. I've been there for I don't know how many hours I was in there. Someone mentioned that they were hanging out there this morning, and then I went and hung out with them for a bit. And that was, oh my god, you guys have been talking about stuff again. No, you haven't. That was 4 hours ago, maybe. You were there for -1 day. Good dating timing there. null expected a sequence. Okay. Isn't results a sequence? Yes. Results. Are you shipping me? Ugh. Okay. We'll try the first step here, right? That's null. What is that then? So response. Response. Is it the value that has a value called response in it? Is that how beautiful they are? Oh my god, okay. Yeah. So response results. And then from here, is there results in the results? Yeah, of course there are. Damn it, I know people who used to work for BBC. I'm not surprised, okay? I'm saying that with all the love and affection I can muster up. Nat, if you're watching this and you're still there, stop being shit, man. I'm kidding. I don't know. That was a made up story. If Nat is watching this, you're fine. You got a cool last name. Don't worry about it. Okay. So we can get the locations. So let's try to get the... No. Change. Change to brackets. Thank you. I am definitely having some kind of awkward migraine-y whatever thing this is. I shall deal with it shortly. Okay, so we got ourselves a location. Then we're going to do weather. First. And then I've missed the details of this thing. Okay. Let me just grab this. Oh, yeah. There you are. Weather's weather. Yeah, you can probably hear that I'm like, everything is like in treacle, right? Oh, man. This started before I ate. And I think I just waited too long to eat. I don't know what this is, but it is. All right, so let's look at forecasts as the first thing we get here. Okay, so this is going to be our response. And then forecast is going to be response forecast. Now that is not a vec. Okay, so there we go. That was it. Still pretty gross. That's the weather. Ooh, okay, so should we build an application out of this now? I think that we could. Okay, here's the thing. I think there's a memory leak. And this came from talking with Zucchini earlier today. We're looking at his code, and now as you be shaming him like you do, us giving him the Reddit experience. And I think I found, by thinking about this, I think I kind of found a place where we have a memory leak in. Oh my goodness! All right. I'm gonna go get some parset in a second. All right, let me just see if I can get past this. All right. Doesn't help to have a bright light in your face as well. Quit your bitching. Okay. Weather. Okay, so this is what happens when you squirrel brain. Right. So we have a manually drop thing here, which will prevent the value from being freed. But in this case, we already taken ownership of the value, and the value is just a bunch of copy types, right? This thing could effectively be copy if we wanted it to, right? Well, it can't because it has a destructor, and the destructor does things. But besides that, but I wonder if this is a memory leak or not. I mean, we can very easily find this out, right? Let's take a little detour and find out if we have some memory onions in here. And let's see, do we have an index in there? Yep. Hello, Leaky. Okay, so if we run this with Valgrind, it says possibly lost there. Although how, I don't know, because there were no values written. This should be 0 lost. All heap blocks were freed. All right, cool. Let's do this then. All heap blocks were freed. Let's do this then. Except we don't want to do that. We don't want to do this. All heap blocks are freed. Oh, man. Come on, brain. Oops. Would you, Nocturnal? It hurts in my head, you safe. It hurts in my head. Are you sure you would though, Nocturnal? What do you use the line numbers for? You do a lot of regular expression operations with line numbers? Fair enough. Hello, Bolvar. How you doing? Right, we're gonna take this loop out. Well, that is a very, I think you are not in the majority then. Here we're just gonna panic. Okay. Where do these lost blocks come from? Hmm. All right. All right. So what is going to happen here? Okay, we can do this. We have to put these arcs first, maybe. Okay. So in user exit were 1400 bytes in 17 blocks. This could very well be thread local storage though. So I still don't know. Okay, let's go to the run function and reset this lunacy. I'm gonna bring the loop back in. Get rid of you, you, and you. And let's not do any of this. So we're back into a situation where this generates 0. Right, there are 0 bytes. Now let's do some global storage here, right? We probably don't even need that. Okay. So is this going to result, just by having this thing, is this going to result in anything? It shouldn't, because so far nothing has been allocated on the heap. So there's nothing. It says that there are 7 heap usages, but I don't know where they are. These alleged heap usages are coming from, because we're not doing anything with them, right? I have no idea what 7 allocations we're talking about here. We're not doing anything with anything, right? So, I am not. So let's do cause some. Well, actually, yes. So let's do cause some heap allocations here, right? So for x in, and then we're gonna do values with borrow mute. That should now be our vex, so values.push x Yasta. Okay. So we are now certainly writing things into a ref cell. This doesn't do anything. We're gonna run this now. Okay. Nope, all blocks were freed. Okay. Where is that potential memory coming from then, if it's not that? Well, we can add a little bit more complexity to this, right? Because who doesn't like a good old RC, right? So then we're going to say the values is values clone. And then we change you to values. No, with borrow. So that is, no, apparently not. Borrow ref, maybe? No, it's just with. Sorry, I'm being a muppet here. To it doesn't really matter. Ref, I haven't used this in a long time. To mute, no? No, I tried that. Get mute, damn it. All right. What? Isn't this an RC ref cell? Yes. My head hurts too much. Look at this. An RC is just able to dereference. Oh shit, that needs a mutable reference. It's not. It's borrow mute. Damn it. Oh good grief. Okay, so get mute is borrow mute. My goodness, I would fail my own job interviews. All heap blocks were free. So no matter what we do, they're all freed. What is it that is not freed when we do this then? All blocks were freed. Did I miss something? Oh shit, how did that happen? I know we have the string storage in there, but that can't be it. No leaks possible. Did I misread that? No leaks possible. Oh. Well, most jokes are, Perkins. Don't worry about it. Let's just finish this where we don't actually do anything here. We might have to return an okay here. Ooh, that was not a good idea. Okay. No, of course not. We need the runtime error for that. Okay, this should be fine. Yeah. No leaks possible. Where does this come from? All heap blocks were freed, but if we run this, there is no guarantee, right? suddenly... Thank you for that. Okay, let's issue a stop runtime from a component. Okay, so this one should just straight up end. No? Wow, that's concerning. Self.stop runtime. I never get to work on what I'm supposed to work on. So we get here, right? Yeah. So why is the stop thing not happening? Oh, God, such a thicko. Okay, for that to happen, you actually have to use their component, right? Man, I'm having a brain moment here. All right, we're good. Okay, maybe not that. Where does that come from? Where does this come from? What bytes are these? We are not using a hash map anywhere. Where does that even... Where does that go? Well, no, that's not true. We do have hash maps in the States, but we never really used any of them. Where does that go? Arc inner? No. I don't think there's a single arc in here. Yes, there is in the store, but we're not using that. All right. Arc element. In the shared slab for arc slab. Yeah, we don't use the arc slab. No, this is an unused data type. So that is not it. Yeah, we can take that out. And now there isn't anything in there. I don't know if we have leaks, but I'm trying to figure out... We should get rid of that one anyway, because we're not using it. Get on me. But we're not going to take that out yet. That is not the issue. That would allow us to swap eventually if we wanted to into a multi-threaded runtime, but I don't think we're ever gonna do that. So this is all about them hash maps, right? But where is this coming from? Could we get like a stack trace for where this is coming from? Cannot. Crossbeam channels? Couldn't be in that. No, I don't think this has anything to do with our crate. I just wish I could be. I just wish I was sure about that. Okay, what if we do a cargo run release then? What if we learn how to spell release? As a matter of fact, we're gonna do this. It could be, but I want to be more sure. At some point, you learn how to spell Valgrind, apparently. So why is it qualifying these as possibly lost? We're not intentionally leaking memory anywhere. So this one is going to be 0. I'm okay with that. But what is it that happens between here when we do this? Now there's nothing lost. But if we do this, there's a possible memory loss in there. There's a possible, and I don't know where it's coming from. Is it the attribute storage? No. We are putting allocated things in globals, but I did so here as well, and there was no issues with that. Yeah, it is an anathema thing. So even if we box these values, right? Now we're going really crazy with things here. Oh, idiots. Power grind, isn't it? Nope, wrong build. That's not used for debug. Oh, my ham brain. All blocks were freed. I have no idea which one of these things is saying that it's a maybe leak, right? So, okay, why do I care about this? It's because we have that maybe drop in there. Well, I guess we just take that out and not worry about it. We have this manual drop here for a value that should be on the stack by the time we get here, but maybe it isn't. Okay, let's just comment this out and see how that works. As a matter of fact, let's have 2 of these. So this is going to happen when you take a value. So let's go in here and we're going to add a counter to this thing. And we'll make a state in here as well, right? Now we're really gonna leak some memory here. Right. We do not need that anymore then. And then we'll say if state.list.length is larger than 0, then actually, if it's less than 10 and we start off with an empty one instead, whoops, a little bit too much there, right? State.push back 1, doesn't really matter. Okay, now we're definitely adding values there, right? There's no difference there whatsoever. Okay, that's because we're not running anything. Wait, what? Yeah. Man, I'm having such a brain moment. Wait, that was a bit too fast. No, that is definitely too fast. Oh my god. Wow, I should not be using a computer at this point. It feels like don't operate heavy machinery kind of moment in my brain right now. Okay, so 1200 bytes in 3 blocks. And that was us creating a bunch of values. Let's create a bunch more values. Let's say if the length is less than 1000 and we are going to run this at 120 frames per second because I don't want to wait for the rest of my life. Do a normal run here. And then we're going to valgrind run this thing. Still an annoyingly long time, I guess. I imagine that MoviePy editor is not on your Python path. So what do you have it? Do you have MoviePy as part of your Python path, right? See, it's the same number, even though we're doing something different. Okay, but now with that, we're gonna get rid of this thing, and this should now crash, possibly. Let's see if it's 1200 bytes in 3 blocks again. Why is it taking so long now? It should not be taking this long. 1200 bytes in 3 blocks. So it has nothing to do with that. We should still okay, so the reason we do this, it's not a stack trace. It's just something that looks like a stack trace. Oh man, I can't even read. Yeah, definitely migraine. Ugh, gross. Okay. So let's have a look at the value instead. Let's see if we can change this a bit. Okay, if we look at this thing is 16 bytes for a value, which is, oh, where am I typing? Which is fine, right? Yeah, we're getting there, Marvin. I'll see. If we add a Boolean value here, our 16 bytes becomes 24 bytes. That's kind of insane, right? maybe we can put it in the key where we flip the last bit. I wouldn't put honey in tea, but yeah, I get the sentiment. I've taken lots of vitamins already. Good grief. I just eat a fistful of vitamins. I just dig them out from between the sofa cushions and just eat them, right? Vitamins. I think what we could do is we can circumvent that manual drop. There is nothing to free. Actually, why don't we invert the test, right? I don't know why I'm being such a big dummy about this. Why don't we just invert the test, right? Stud mam, manually drop, all right? As a matter of fact, let's get rid of everything that isn't that. So let's start by having a vec of values here. And what are we going to put into these values? We're going to have a value t, and we're going to have a function on this thing that looks about the same. And here we're going to call manually drop self. This means that we are intentionally leaking the value. Now we can't do that. Let's see what we actually did. That's because the value is stored somewhere else. Should we go all out then and use phantom data here? Now, this thing is just basically a placeholder or a user of the type, right? So we're going to store the actual values somewhere else, right? So values will be in a mutable vec of t instead. And we'll have an index on here that represents where something is. That's going to be an option. I don't know why I'm encoding like actual behavior in here, but I am for some reason. So the value is going to be values self.index take unwrap and then return value, which we don't need to write because it's implicit return. Okay, right. Whew. So now any value that we put into this collection, we can take out of it, and we're just using this guy as some kind of value pointer, if you will, right? So we're going to have values be an empty vec, and we're going to have pointers is going to be an empty vec. We're going to make these two mutable. We can put values there. The first thing we do is going to add a value, right? So values dot push an option of some number as a u32, and that's going to give us the index. That will be values dot length, and then the next thing to do is to tell pointers to push a value where we can just do value new index. So then our value implementation has a new function and it takes an index. Like so. And we're good. All right. Good. Come on. But you know what the value is. Okay. You don't know what the value is. There we go. So we have added one value. Now let's add two values in there. We have two values. If we were to now get the first or the second value, that would be pointers 1. And we do second dot take values. and we print out the number, and there it is, 2. So when we do that, we are calling manual drop. So if we do a cargo run and then a val grind on this, there are no leaks in there. We're going to take this one step further, and we're going to box the value that we add there. So there will be a box new. And that's a box of U32 now. That's 2. Val grind. Stop trying to run it locally. There we go. There are no... Okay, so even with our manual memory malarkey there, we're not doing anything. Okay, let's do this then. So where we store our values, no, we're not boxing the values, are we? No. No, that's the thing. The values are never boxed. Well, that's not entirely true. You could have something that has a value, and that something could be on the heap. So we could definitely have values on the heap. Well, all right, then let's put the values themselves on the heap. All right, heapy leapy. Run that. No leaks possible. Ugh, man, some days you can't win. Oof. Then what do we do with this? Oh, I'm gonna have to go and find something for this headache, man. It's literally doing my head in. Jet, hang fire. All right. Yeah, but the alternative is just lay down in a dark room and stare into the ceiling, and that's just gonna make me bored, and then I'm gonna do this anyway. At least this is a fun riddle to explore. You can't do anything with migraines, right? You just wait them out. Took some Paracet now, and given about 30 minutes, if the headaches and such is still there, then I know that it's a migraine, and then I can't do much about it. I heard that Balatro helps with migraines. I really need to reply to those guys. But okay. I don't think we have a memory leak. I can try to reproduce it, but I'm getting nothing, right? I get nothing from this. A jacket potato doesn't seem that bad. So now we're literally forgetting self, but self isn't the box, right? Even when we do that, there are no. It's because it's not on the heap anymore, right? I am a little bit thick right now, so I find it hard to say. Okay, but we'll get rid of this, and we'll go back to our demo code in that case. Let's see what I did here. Nothing here that's going to have any impact, right? But that is just JSON values, right? So it's not any, it's not like, it depends on what you do with that, right? That does something, right? There's nothing specific. They are enforced by JSON LS. What is JSON LS? I don't know what that is. JSON language server. Yeah, but that's an implementation detail of the language server, right? So that's not really part of the JSON schema, right? Or is there in the JSON schema specification support for control flow and stuff? She swears by baked potatoes. I think when it comes to migraines, there are so many home remedies. But I think the thing that kind of just works the best is just to lay in a dark room, right? JSON schema draft 2020 define if statement, then that is cursed. That is just insane. So now we have registered keywords in JSON that weren't there before. It's not just cursed, right? If you don't have now all of a sudden we need to put additions on our JSON, right? So if your JSON doesn't have an addition, you shouldn't treat the if statements, right? They only okay. They have a schema path. Right. Yeah, they're gonna have something like that for it to make sense. That's maybe we should have introduced additions already in like a masthead or whatever on AML files, but oh, good grief. Okay. Luckily, we're not there yet. All right, we got some weather. Now let's make this do something instead. So how should we do this thing, right? Let's have a weather state for this thing, right? Well, I mean, it makes sense that it's the web core, right? Because JSON is JavaScript object notation, right? It comes from the world of the web, but it's weird that they would put that in the schema. That what was the rationale for that? Oh no! If I start reading that now, I'm gonna go livid. But I do wonder, just a little bit. Do I wonder what the rationale for that was? Don't do it. No, I won't. I am pretending like it didn't exist at all. All right, we don't want to do this on key. We want to do this on event instead. And what should we do? We'll match on the, actually we could just do if event.name is load city. That's when we do it. But we want to do this as a can we do this? Oh no. I thought we could. No, what did I just write? Oh my god. should we make this possible? So on a given event, we could spawn a thread that can communicate with us beyond the grave. Right, so we can get the component ID and the emitter. So we can do this, and then the emitter can emit to the component ID lookup complete with some kind of nonsense. All right. Well, this design is flawed already. All right. Why in a thread? Because we don't want to stop the UI from responding. So we don't want to do a lookup while that is happening. So even though this would solve that problem, this is an act of insanity because you could spin up multiple threads very quickly that would start looking up values, and you would get nothing back. No, so this would be insane. Instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a weather service, right? Ah, that's a lot of noise there. I'm a little bit sad that I find out now that JSON has if statements. That feels like a step in the wrong direction. This is just backwards. Why are we so backwards sometimes? So let's have this thing return a channel, and then we're gonna loop here, and we're gonna say receive and do some work, and then send result. And inside here on the tick function, but that's what we have the emitter, right? So this one will take the component ID of some kind and the emitter. It won't return anything. And it will emit back the result. That's how it should work, right? Imagine if you didn't have if statements in 2025. We got new features in Anathema this morning, but I'm not going to talk about them because my head hurts and you don't deserve to hear about them because they're not that exciting. But it kind of is. Oh, YAML is also insane, right? What I think like the more famous thing with YAML and Norway. Why? Because the TLD of Norway is no, and YAML interprets no as false. I mean, oh. The Norway problem. The no way problem. So, because the TLD of Norway is no, because they're very negative there, whatever you have, it's .no. Then this will be false, right? So you get like string, false, string, and like what? And this is what I think about when I implement certain features in AML. Like what possible insane side effects can this lead to? Toml is good, but Toml isn't very pleasant to um like create a large dictionary in Toml, and it's pretty unpleasant, right? Let's say you want to make a dictionary of key maps. You want to map no to Norway, right? Then all of a sudden Toml is not nice. YAML wouldn't be bad if it wasn't because it was insane, right? Yeah, array of dictionaries. Yeah, so Toml is just not that nice either in some degrees, right? I think YAML is fine syntactically, but the Norway problem makes you kind of go, what? What? Um, yeah, but everything is fine for civil. You know what I like? I like ini files, right? For really basic configs, ini files are great, right? No, it's an acquired taste, right? I don't mind if you don't like them, right? This is not, it's no skin off my back if you don't like AML. I actually wanted to, at one point I did ask for feedback from the community if anyone had a better syntax we could use for AML, and no one had a better syntax, right? Yeah, AML is very small. There is one thing that was added today that might make you go a little bit insane from using it if you don't read the documentation. But I'll show you. I'll point to the documentation where this either here now is special case. But there's a good reason for this. This thing behaves the way you need 99 out of 100 times. And if it doesn't do what you need, then you use a with statement instead. Now, when you get into that, you should probably break it up into smaller components, right? But yeah, there was the, when we used the what's that? You don't have to, Scott. I don't assume anyone will. What does this do in JavaScript? Knowledge coalescing. Right. Maybe it's like that. Called out. Oh man, what's it like under the bus? Oh man, there's that you don't say these things, Skylar, because you're basically you're outing Paul Wiry now on stream, right? They were not saying this because they were being polite. Okay, it's a very important phrase to learn. We don't always have to say things that we know, okay? Even if someone might be saying something slightly contradictory, okay? Anyway, meanwhile, while Wire is under the bus, let's have a look at how this thing works, right? So this one would output 0. This one would output default string. Okay, so it's a little bit like this then. But what will this do? This one should output 0, right? None of this is working. I guess we have to allow you. Why was there a delay there? Except in our case, you would, if you do this. Okay, so, oh, right. Okay, well, in Anathema, this would return default string. This would return false. Yeah, so it's a bit like this then. I don't know Lua well enough. I'm impolite. Very good. Well, that's fine too. All right. Okay. So should we do this? Sorry, I'm trying to survive this freaking headache. How long? I can't read this small text on my watch, man. I have to use the camera like I'm the true elderly person. All right, 8 minutes. If this is still shit in 8 minutes, I'm done, right? Yeah, so any value that is either non-existent, so you're using an ident that has never been declared, whether state, attribute, or otherwise, right? Although we now have the prefixes, so that's not an issue. Um, so whether we have something like that, we're using an ident that doesn't exist, then you will use the secondary value, right? It will evaluate the secondary expression for you. Um, However, if you use things like false or zero or empty strings that can be evaluated at compile time of the template, then it will still use that, right? So anything that can be done at compile time, right? This almost looks like what the AI thing suggested when we used the UWare thing to build the first Anathema website. And I didn't think it was entirely awful, but I didn't love it enough to think it was worth implementing, right? But no one has come up with a better syntax for a markup language that wasn't either insane or they had the imagination of a pancake, right? So everything, and I did say the day I talked about it, I said we're not going to have curly brackets, right? We're not making a curly bracket language. That's because we are not making a programming language. It is a markup language, and curly brackets have little to do with blocks in a markup language. It's not going to make it better, right? You have to do colon name for the widget name. Wait, what? I'm out. You can do that already, right? They are like you just have to uh, parse your own tokens and bung those in there, right? If you can, you just have to output statements. So the language is so simple that you should be able to just write your own language against it, right? Uh, but it has to be a language that makes sense, right? Unless you're not going to release it to the public. If you're not going to release it to the public, you can do whatever you want. I don't care, right? But if you're going to make a language for it that you want to get some traction or you want to change the syntax of it, then it has to be better than what we have, right? I don't know if we go to the wait, do we not have templates anymore? If we do a VStack and then text widget, hello world, and we do, what else do we do, right? Well, okay, you're going to end up with that. And I don't know if that's going to be any more legible, right? Let's let's take something that was written yesterday in the chat. Let me find that. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. All right. And what if we add end tags to this? Well, first we're going to add the end tag to the H stack. Then we have to add, we're going to add the end tag to that and to that and to that and to the canvas and to the border and to the expand and to the V stack and to the text and to the align and to the V stack. I don't know if this is any better than what we had, right? I feel like this is easier for me to digest than this. No, I don't mind if you guys don't like it. It is perfectly fine to not like the syntax. I know it's a very opinionated topic, right? Um, no, worry. You can thank Skylar for doing this to you as well, right? You're a real German. Right. So I think what the it looks like eczema. Okay, all right. That we everything was fine until you guys went on with the foul language, right? So I think this was the suggestion by the AI to do. So we're gonna look at what this thing looks like. Something like this, right? Maybe it was that. And obviously that wouldn't work with so that doesn't work with components having that syntax. But also the by naming it only makes sense when you have multiple next to each other, right? That's the only time it makes sense to name the closing tag, right? To see that. But yeah, no, there's no part in me that kind of feels like, this is good, right? No, but again, I find it incredibly difficult to design a template language that is good, right? Oh, it's game build time. All right. Man, why did I start to get sick now? This is so frustrating. Mm, ooh, I can't tell this. Hmm. Mortal Kombat. No, I don't think it's Mortal Kombat. I think it's um I don't know, Danaka. I don't think it's Mortal Kombat. I think it's one of those older, not like field fighting games. No, no, it certainly is not that. EverQuest? EverQuest? Who the heck remembers EverQuest? Oh, sorry, it's EverQuest 2. Get out of here. It's not. Okay. No, the other one. What's the other one called? It's not Dynasty Warrior. That's the one I was thinking about. Boomer RPG. Boomer RPG says the guy who guesses Tekken, which is from year 2. Okay. How you doing, Glog? Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. My brain is just collapsing here. I think I'm just gonna have to call it. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. I feel awful and it's not getting any better. I think we're okay with the memory leaks though, right? They still make DLCs for it. That's cool. Happy to hear it. Oh, nice one. What did you go for in the end, Glog? I had like 4 words per minute on my D5 for a while. It was brutal. Um Yeah, the memory leaks were kind of well, there were maybe memory leaks, but there you go, right? 10-year-old. Oh my god, EverQuest is way older, isn't it? Office Cherry. What's that? Send a link to a picture, Glog. Let's have a look at it. I think EverQuest release date. I think you'll find that this is 2000. That's 25 years old, right? 1999. Okay. I think 10 years is not enough, right? Last century. Okay. Were you thinking about the RuneScape or whatever? Because apparently there's a new RuneScape out. Cherry. Oh, okay, in the actual Cherry by the Cherry MX people, yeah. Um, is a mechanical office keyboard. For some reason, I was expecting a split here, Glog. I was expecting a split. Which is the worst game ending in Quest? Cat Quest 3. Technically, I guess that ends with 3, but my god, was that shit. Me and the kid enjoyed Cat Quest 2. That was really fun to play. The first one was something I did to waste time. It was alright. It's not like a challenging game for gamers, right? But then my kid watched me play it and wanted to play with me, and Cat Quest 2 had multiplayer. And you basically just do a bunch of, it's just a bunch of like grinding, and the story isn't super exciting. And we were both really excited about Cat Quest 3, which is supposed to have a lot more content and stuff in it. So we finished the second one, bought the third one. And good grief, was it bad? Janky, poor performance, awful controls. It was just like bad straight up. I have no idea how they could go from a delightful formula that worked to let's ruin the game, right? Avoid crazy. I use a laptop quite frequently. The 31st expansion. I don't start to hate my work because it's more uncomfortable than my home PC. Well, that's not the reason people hate work. If that's the reason you hate work, that's pretty mild though, right? So your reasoning, Glog, is to use things. Don't use things you might like because you might not get to use them all the time. I guess there's a logic to that, right? It's kind of how you should never taste really good whiskey because then the cheap stuff just tastes awful. I can get behind that. But then will 0 be false in that case? Listen to Mr. Moneybags here affording plane tickets, okay? Team leader. So you got 11 people yelling at you. That doesn't seem very pleasant. No, it's all good. Oh man. Now my head's not getting any better. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to nope out of here. If you guys come up with any good suggestions for a demo app that's better than this weather bullshit, then let me know. Yeah, well, brandy, forget brandy and cognac. Go for whiskey. That's where the flavor's at, right? Anyway.